Okay, I'm going to say it all again, so if you need to hear it, you can listen. Otherwise, just kind of take notes, get the flow of the ideas. Okay, yeah. Linear equation, 5x plus 3 equals 9. We easily solve that. Subtract 3 from both sides, get the result. Divide both sides by 5, get the result. If we have an equation with an x squared in it, that becomes a quadratic equation. It's like a linear equation, but then we put some multiple of x squared in there. And now it's a quadratic equation. And how do we solve this? This stuff won't work. Won't help a bit. So, one thing we can do is we can factor the left-hand side and get x plus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0. And I assume people know how to factor. At least in simple cases. There's a lot of tricky stuff that you can do with factoring that we'll talk about a little bit later when you need it. Okay, well, this is true if and only if one of these numbers is 0, because you can't multiply two numbers and get 0 unless one of them is 0. So if x plus 3 is 0, well, you get x equals negative 3, and that makes it all 0. If x equals negative 2, well, if x plus 2 equals 0, x is negative 2, and that makes the whole thing 0. So that's one way to solve it. Another way to solve it would be by the quadratic formula. Now this is what you got to use, either this or completing the square, and there are actually other techniques, but so yeah, if you can't factor it, you're generally going to resort to this or to completing the square. Completing the square we'll talk about later. Let's get the quadratic formula down. So this quadratic equation, you have a 1 in front of x squared, so that's a is 1. You have a 5 in front of x, so b is 5, c is 6. We take the 1, the 5, and the 6, and we plug them into this formula, and we get this expression here. We evaluate what's inside the under the square root here. We get 24. We get 25 minus 24. That's 1. So we have negative 5 plus or minus square root of 1 over 2 times 1. Okay. And then that evaluates very easily. It's negative 5 plus or minus 1 divided by 2, which means either negative 5 plus 1 over 2 or negative 5 minus 1 over 2, which gives us negative 3 or negative 2.